I go to Vietnam, and Vietnam just blew me away in terms of coming to grips with the lies about the history of America and what the war was really about. And I don't need to go into that in this story but what it did was it opened my eyes to all of the lies that I had grown up with. I literally found everything that I had believed in about the United States and its history, and every leader, every religious leader, nobody measured up to telling the truth about the war and what I saw there. So I come back, and now I'm guarding nuclear weapons in Atlantic City, New Jersey, right behind the airport, right next to the National Aeronautic Pilot Training Facility. There was an airport there, and we were right behind the airport. And in the fall of 1969, and this is in the documentary, the Movement and the Madman, that aired on PBS, people saw that. I'm one of the voices in the show. But basically what it was the United States was preparing to nuke North Vietnam in November 1969. On my base, we went into a nuclear alert. We went on alert, not a nuclear alert, but we went on alert like we had never seen before. The planes that were in the hangars, under guard and under alarm, in an alarmed hangar, were now placed out on the runway, on the taxiway, so that we went from defense condition 3 to defense condition 2, and we thought we were going into defense condition 1, which was war. The plan was to nuke Hanoi, to nuke North Vietnam, and my base was one of the places, not that was going to do that, but my base, those planes would respond to Soviet bombers coming over. That was the idea. So the reason why this becomes important is because this is one of these instances where the U.S. and Daniel Ellsberg is really, he faced the choice of whether he was going to go along with the war and be one of the war planners, or he was going to rebel against it, and he rebelled against it. And he's one of the people that helped reveal the numerous times that the United States has planned to use nuclear weapons in post-World War II, including at least 5 times they were going to nuke North Vietnam. Then I joined the Vietnam Veterans Against the War, and after the Winter Soldier investigation and after we threw our medals away, I was asked to go represent the VVAW at the 17th annual ANH convention, Atomic and Nuclear Weapon Convention. However, I forgot what the title was, but in Japan. And so I went and represented in Japan, and one of the nights, and we traveled to Hiroshima, and one of the nights at Hiroshima, we sat in a room where the Hibasura, the Japanese who had been bombed, the survivors talked about what their lives had been like. And at that meeting were Vietnamese representatives of the government that had also came to that same convention and also spoke. And we were in the room together. And as the Hibasura were talking, I found tears coming to my eyes, and I looked over the Vietnamese, and they were crying also. So I had this incredible experience of being in a room. The Japanese are talking about the effects, and the Vietnamese and I, and this three-way thing would happen. The reason why this became a further effect on me was I then left Japan and went to North Vietnam representing the Vietnam Veterans Against the War. I was the first Vietnam veteran to go to North Vietnam in a peace delegation. And it was in Vietnam and seeing the truth that this was a revolutionary people who were fighting against U.S. imperialism and were extremely determined and had a long history of resistance to foreign invaders that I changed sides politically. I left Vietnam as a supporter of the Vietnamese to defeat the United States. And I'm very proud of that. Now, why is all this important? Because this is a moment that we're in, and this film challenges a whole lot of the history, some of the history, but it actually reinforces some of the most important parts of that history by trying to lies about what the U.S. was actually, the reasons why the U.S. actually dropped the bomb. You know, like Carl said, it was a warning to the Soviet Union that the United States was in charge and was going to run that area of the world. And now I think that this discussion, we really have to grapple with this question, because I think it's really important that people drop these illusions that the United States has any good in the world. Does any good in the world? It never has. You know, you can go all the way back to George Washington and the Sullivan expedition, where he ordered his general Sullivan to go in and wipe out a Native American village of hundreds of people. And he made it very clear that they should show no mercy. That history, that bloody history, 245 years of it, there's only been 12 years where the United States has not been killing people somewhere in the world. And I think that's the story I wanted to tell, and how I came to see some of these things, to see the truth and grapple with the truth through these experiences.